So it wasn't something that I knew that I was doing when it happened. When I was doing my doctoral research, I happened to write a conceptual paper about how we could use knowledge about children who have language impairments and the different kinds of difficulties they have. So what they have in language, but also looking at issues they have in other areas of their daily functioning and their social participation. And I kind of came up with a conceptual model of how you could take that knowledge, put it into place in an educational system to do collaborative service delivery. So I had written this paper and was very inspired by it, had gotten it published. And then just by happenstance, a person on my committee happened to be a member of CanChild, which is an interdisciplinary research center. At that time, I wasn't that familiar with CanChild or its work. She took my paper to them and said, you know, here's something I think you should read. They got in touch. And it turned out that a researcher at CanChild, Dr. Cheryl Masuna, was putting into practice the kind of conceptual model I had talked about. It happened to be with occupational therapist and not speech-language pathologist, but it was like seeing the life come into this conceptual work I had written. And over the years that I've been with CanChild, I've turned that experience from a postdoctoral fellowship into a faculty position, and I'm now a scientist with that center. And I've been able to grow from being a trainee on the grants to actually being a co-investigator on those projects. So it's been an incredible path of career development. And because I followed the trajectory of the project, it's gone from being a collaborative service delivery model that was in development to one that now the phase we're at is how do you actually implement this on a large scale? How do you actually sustain that and put that evidence into practice? And so it wasn't a planned trajectory when I started, and I think my willingness to sort of step outside the walls a little bit. So when I took this opportunity at CanChild, the model of service delivery was what I had written about, but the profession was different. And I had to be willing, because in CSD, we don't have that scope available right now. I had to be willing to sort of step outside and explore new avenues, and it's been wonderful, and I don't regret a minute of it. In my research personally, I'm hoping to begin to take the knowledge that I've gleaned from working with this wonderful team, and in the process of doing this, I've been able to meet and interact with some wonderful speech-language pathologists in our local community. And there is some interest in looking at how this kind of model could apply to them. Could they adapt parts of it? What would it need to look like to work for that community? And so I am at the beginning stages of my own journey of setting up my first stakeholder symposium, getting my first grant, engaging my local partners to see what we could take from this, because I think many of the issues around how we best provide services to children in schools will extend to speech-language pathologists as well. I reflected on this a bit more, and I think mentorship is another thing. If you're looking to break into this, that I think certainly for myself at the doctoral level, I learned a lot about how to design a really good study and do small-scale research and write it up and publish it, take it to conferences, all of those things. But in terms of building partnerships in the community, doing research that's going to change practice, working with different stakeholder groups who have different needs, and that you have to be able to interact with people at very different levels. You have to be able to talk about your work in different ways. That having a good mentor who can guide you through that process, who can be an example, is going to be very important as an early investigator. On a personal level, it is a more time-consuming than testing your innovation in a very structured environment, in a lab setting, or using only research dollars where you have control of many more of the elements. And when you do implementation science, it gets messier, it's bigger, it requires more work, it requires more people, more minds, but it is incredibly rewarding. And I am delighted that I was able to get involved in it, and will continue that on my path.